Weezy out of here.
I dare you to let me build you a completely free e-commerce store preloaded with 20 handpicked products.
You are crazy. You are crazy. You are crazy. You are
Once I figured out that Shopify was a thing, I never turned back. I can create a site with my eyes closed. I'm Kiana, and I leveled up my business with Shopify.
How was your day, honey?
Pretty intense, but I brought something for you.
Where'd you find all these things?
You're in there, you know.
Did you run into Ark?
I did, and I watch out for them, but they're the least of my problems.
All the raiders I've met say the same thing. You cannot control what happens up there.
ATL Jacob, ATL Jacob. see you glowing now, nigga.
With Geico, we can easily bundle home and car insurance and save even more.
Yeah, just like that breakfast burrito.
There isn't too much hot sauce, is there? I have a sensitive palate.
I actually like hot sauce.
How about guacamole?
I don't really know what we're talking about anymore.
Burritos.
Insurance.
Get more with Geico.
At Firestone Complete Auto Care, we hold our service to the highest standard. That's why we have thousands of expert ASE certified technicians nationally.
We're here to change your oil, but also check on everything else on your vehicle, bumper to bumper.
Call and book today.
ATL Jacob, ATL Jacob. ATL Jacob. Jacob, ATL Jacob.
Your future is at your fingertips. Take advantage of the flexibility and diversity of futures trading with NinjaTrader, the #1 rated futures broker. Start trading futures today.
No, you're just using the word, but I don't think you realize how charged it is.
The most human thing to do is to dehumanize.
Well, I have never voiced something racist towards another person.
Calling them anything that's attacking the race is racist. You don't need that power.
The first prompt is, I act differently around people who aren't my race.
I'm biracial, so I'm right in the middle of this. So a lot of times I find myself which side when I meet someone, if I meet a black person, if I meet a white person, where they come from, how they act, I find myself a lot of times adapting to one of those narratives. And on top of it, I'm Jewish as well. So that adds another aspect to the layer. So I find myself a lot of times I'm reading the room and saying, okay, well, I should probably act a little bit more white or a little bit more black, whatever that means to you guys. Hopefully there's people who have a shared experience like me.
Yeah, I was gonna say, okay, so I'm biracial, black, but at the end of the day, I see it as I still would have had to sit at the back of the bus, right? So I feel like I definitely act different around different races because when I'm around black, like other black people, there are different like cultural references and music and like all these little things that like I'm more comfortable saying, listening to, and like being, because like black culture is so rich. And then when I'm around white people, I feel as if because of the way I talk or whatever perception they have of me, I have to remind white people sometimes that I am black, which is crazy.
Do you think that it also comes with age? Because for me, I'm 47 years old. There is no way in the world I'm changing for anybody at this point. So also you can either take me as I am, or you can like leave me at the curb as far as I'm concerned, because at this big old age I am, there's no one who can tell me like how to speak and how to talk, how to act. And
But do you not think that maybe all of those layers of you like is all still you? Like the way I act around my white friends is completely different than the way I act around my family.
Exactly.
And like it's totally different, but I am code switching. Like I am acting different. I'm saying different things. I'm relating things that I'm interested in that I know you're interested in, but I know you don't know this whole cultural black side of me. And also, like, I don't look it, but I'm Asian. Like, my mom's Filipino. She immigrated from the Philippines. And there's so much in that culture that I don't even know about that I'd love to learn more. And, like, I can't have those conversations with those people a lot of the time because they already think, like, oh, she's just black. She doesn't know these things. She doesn't know anything. You know what I mean?
And I'm part Japanese, too, so I get exactly where you're coming from as far as, like, that kind of cultural heritage goes and being able, but I think what you said was kind of on the money. Like, these are still parts of yourself. And as you get older, there's still parts of yourself, so you're really not code switching.
I think I'd like to jump in as an artist. And also being biracial, I am, Japanese and Trinidadian. I feel like I don't know if I necessarily code switch, but there might be certain topics that I might try to create a community and connection with depending on the background of that person. For example, if I'm around like my Asian friends, I'm gonna talk about being Asian, or I'm gonna talk about something that we have in connection with, but like, I don't really care to talk about their opinions about black people as long as they're cool. If I'm around black people, I don't really care about your opinions about Asian people as long as like you're cool with Asian people, but we can connect and talk about black people, blackness and the black community.
Right on that, like, it's the vulnerability. Why would I be vulnerable with who I am to you if I don't trust you to be vulnerable or safe to me? It's not that I'm changing who I am, I'm just not showing you fully who I am. I'm not, that's why I'm a neighbor. I'm acting different. I'm probably gonna tell some people I like anime. I'm probably not gonna tell other people, like, even mention it, because why would I? Because I don't know why I would want to be vulnerable with someone, why I would want to be attacked for it. From both white people and black people, I've never been black enough. And that's something that hurts, but doesn't really matter because I'm not going to change who I am because people don't see me as black enough. And that whole thing is just the vulnerability of not wanting to be attacked for who you are, but not changing who you are to fit the status quo.
I feel like my whole life I've always acted differently around white people. I think it's just like, I don't know, it's just normal to me now, which is kind of sad. But like I've always grown up in predominantly white schools. I'm also half black. Well, I'm black and Jewish. But I've always felt like lesser than and kind of the same thing of just like wanting approval and like respect, I guess. And I'm still working on that now, like even being here, like I feel like I'm always feeling like, oh, I don't deserve to talk as much. And I feel like other people think that too sometimes without meaning it. Like I notice when I'm at school, I get talked over all the time by white men. And it bothers me a lot. And I know that they don't mean it, but I feel like that's the problem. And I feel like I like make myself smaller when I'm around white people. And it's like something that I'm always working on every day because it really makes me so sad that I feel that way. And I just don't think that's something that a white person could ever understand.
I have a question. When you say you get talked over, do you think it's because of your race? Because I used to be very like quiet, reserved. I noticed that it was more so me being quiet than it was about anything racial. Like, you know, there's that stereotype of you're walking on the sidewalk and then there's one person that's like walking over to the grass or something. Do you think it's because of your race specifically that people talk about over you?
Yeah, I think for a while I was actually in denial because it hurt too much. But I noticed that, like, okay, I'm getting talked over. I need to speak up louder. So I did. I was still getting talked over. And then I was like, okay, maybe it's because I'm a woman, right? When we all get talked over. Yeah, but then I noticed that white men would have more respect in the room for white women than they would for me. And I was like, okay, this clearly is something. And I don't think it's on purpose, but it's happening. And I notice it all the time. And I know at first I was like, oh, maybe I'm too quiet, like you're saying. But I keep speaking up because I'm just like, no, that's not it. I'm not being respected. Yeah, go ahead.
One thing about that, like, no apologies here. Like, yes, it could be that you are shy or that you're not speaking up, but we cannot ignore the component of race and privilege and entitlement. And honestly, whether I'm shy or not shy, like, race and privilege is happening all the time, like whether I'm shy or not shy. And I'm going to be talked over sometimes. And yes, it's because I'm black sometimes. I didn't mean to talk over you.
That's my mom for some context. Yeah.
Hello, mama. Okay.
But I agree. I mean, I think that's like what she was saying. I shouldn't have to speak louder. That's what people aren't getting. Like, I just want to be able to walk into a room and be respected. White people should be thinking about that. And most of the time they're not. Not everybody, but most of the time they're just not.
Hearing Ariel talk about feeling other made me feel really sad because I spent my whole childhood feeling other and being told that I was other and not fitting in anywhere because I was bused into a white school when I was in the 4th grade with a few other black kids. And when we got to the school, we all stayed stuck together because we didn't know anybody. And the white teachers immediately targeted us and started picking on us and saying that we didn't believe in integration. And I did not even know what integration was. They seemed so angry that we were black and so angry that we were hanging with each other even though no one else was talking to us. And it actually turned abusive where the teachers started hitting us from there. And then I would get on the bus to go home with the black kids and then they would say that I didn't talk and act like a black person and that I was they called me an Oreo for years. Even though Ariel did not have to deal with that, but it made me sad to hear that she didn't feel like she fit in or that she felt less than. It was like after having all that racial discrimination that it was just very hard to hear that.
I think we have a very similar problem, but almost for different reasons, and I think that's kind of why I moved from Yes to No. I'm an engineering student at USC, and that's a very non-black field, and because of that, I get challenged a lot, or I feel like I get overlooked in certain situations where it almost needs to be a point of proving myself before it's seen as being valid, whether that's, not having people come up to me like being a project or expect me to know something that I really do. And honestly, I feel like, especially when I was younger, that was something that made it to where I did code switch a lot. But I feel like since I've grown, it's gotten to a point where it's like, I think that does nothing more but embolden me to be myself. If I can't control how you perceive me or the way you're gonna act around me implicitly, at the very least, I can always keep it real. I feel like as black people especially, we have power in our authenticity, you know what I mean? I think more than anything else, what we can contribute to a space or to an environment is very predicated on our culture and who we are. I'm fortunate enough now that like I have an internship coming up in New York, and that's gonna be pretty dope. But like when I interviewed or when I did everything like that, I didn't switch up anything I was. I very made sure to present and be who I am, because I'm a big believer that black people don't need to be humble in any way, shape, or form, because the world and the country is already gonna be looking at us as like any type of way. If we are not our biggest advocate, that's gonna be what it is. And I understand that there's fear and that there's situations in where maybe there's a point of feeling like you need to rein it in, but I just believe in like overwhelming authenticity, and I feel like that's how I've been trying to move lately.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I was gonna say, I would rather like cut my own arm off than ever switch up around anybody, because if you have a white group of friends and you have a black group of friends, if you feel like you need to mask something, like why hang out with them in the first place?
I think sometimes you don't have a choice who you hang around. It's the people you work with. It's
But
the
that's
people
not
at
a
the
racial
grocery
thing. That's a
store.
professional thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, it could just be your neighbor. You don't want them all in your business, right?
I'm not talking about professional. Obviously, if you're in a professional in a corporate setting, the way I interpreted the prompt was specifically around race. So
Yeah, but you're making it like it's more of like a fault thing, like it's
No, I'm
your,
not
no, I understand, but it's just like,
because I used to be like that. I used to get very, very nervous around. I grew up like I said.
yeah, but it's not like a why would you be friends with them thing. It's like, because this is how society makes me feel, I internally feel this way. It's not like, oh, I shouldn't be friends with these people. Like, that's not the
May I
problem.
just add something? I feel like human beings were dynamic as a whole. So depending on who we're around, that part of our personality might come off. But also, I know in my personal experiences, not only do I do it for my safety, but I feel like I'm doing it so the other person knows that they can be safe around me as well. So I'm not gonna talk to them like I talk to my homegirl or how I talk to my parents. Those are two different people, right? But I don't know you and you don't know me. So until then, until you get to earn the right to know me like that, I'm gonna speak to you a certain way because I don't know if I can trust you yet.
On the topic of friends, most of mine are Jewish, and it's not because I don't want to be friends with other people. It's just there's like a shared experience and like a way of looking at the world that I really appreciate, that I have. It's not a discrimination towards anybody else. I just really I like my people, and I don't want to feel bad for that. It's not like code switching, but I'm more comfortable around them. I wear this all the time. I wear it when I sleep, when I shower, everything. It's nice. It matters a lot to me, and it just shows the world that I'm like proudly Jewish.
From what I've been hearing is there's a lot of talk about code switching, and it almost seems like we're kind of separating two, from code switching to actual what we're switching up in our personalities for discrimination purposes. So code switching to the side, because I think almost everybody does that because of what type of job you have. That's different. We're gonna just toss it to the side. I heard it earlier, something about the dynamic of age coming into play. And from what I've been hearing, a lot of comments when it comes to discrimination is honestly, well, this is just my perception of experiences, coming from a lot of younger people. And at first, I was in maybe, and I moved over to no. And the reason why is that because as I've gotten older, I've gotten a lot comfortable with myself. And I don't really care who's in the room. I'm still myself around white people, black people. It doesn't matter who it is. I'm still me. And in terms of vulnerability, you mentioned vulnerability as well. Get to know you. I would love to know that you like anime. Guess what, sir? I like anime too. So we can connect on that. But there's never gonna be a way we're gonna be able to connect on that if you didn't say it to me.
And to kind of add on that, I consider myself a very kind of just open book. If anyone wants to know about my life, they can. Life is too short for that shit. You know, you want to know who I am? This is who I am. I'm Sinjin. I'm a white guy. I'm a virgin. I don't care. I am the most open book you'll ever meet.
I have experienced discrimination because of my race, religion, or cultural background.
As I'm pretty sure everyone can see here, I am black. Every day it does, you kind of feel those different types of eyes on you. But one thing people don't know about me is I'm also Jewish as well. And I've actually had to experience a bit of a double whammy in my experience. So when I was in college, I was a part of a really big Jewish organization there. You know, pretty, you know, very visible on campus, everything like that. But there was at one point that came up when there was time for signups for Birthright Trip, which is, what people don't know, is a trip and a pilgrimage to Israel. It's like kind of a coming of age type of thing for Jewish people. Signed up, had my paperwork there that showed my history with my actual family, because I actually tied in bloodline. However, when it came to about a week outside of the trip, I was pulled aside by one of the rabbis over there. I had to come into like a library, just me and him. He pulled me aside and said, "Hey, Izzy, my name's Izzy, short for Issachar. I gotta be honest with you, you're not gonna go." And I said, "Why is that?" He said, "You know, you got everything right, everything's ready, but to be honest, we don't truly believe that you are Jewish." And I said, "Well, why is that? I've turned in my history, you see my paperwork, you see everything. I'm like, you got everything." Where we're coming from is that we just, and how we are as a grouping, you being with us would stand out too much, and the people that are curating that trip would not believe that you are Jewish. We see your paperwork, we see what you have, however, we just don't believe it due to you being black. We feel like you are a convert, we feel like you are someone that's not true to that. And I remember going home with tears in my eyes. I called my mom, she was heart ripped out. My entire family for generations is Jewish, and we've all had to experience that exact same type of discrimination.
Okay, so I'm a lot of things, which I'll go into after, but I am Jewish also, and I did Birthright, and I had no like issue with that, obviously, because there's also so many Ethiopian Jews, so that's like
Yeah.
crazy that they were like, no, because I can't even imagine that. I mean, like, obviously, like, not being like Ashkenazi is like different, but so my own like background is pretty diverse. My dad is Russian Jewish, and then my mom is Nigerian, and they met in New York. And I also have 2 siblings, different ethnicities from myself. So my sister is half Moroccan and half Russian, and my brother is half Korean and half Nigerian, and also different religions, so it's like a lot of everything. And I just never wanted them to feel the way I did. I feel like a lot of this discrimination was appearance-based, especially when I was younger, when it came to how I thought I should look and like European beauty standards, and just like critiquing everything about my face and body at like a really young age. And people point blank telling me that like black people are not attractive to them. I remember this like when I was like 7. I used to like look in the mirror and try to like push my nose to be like smaller. And when I think about that, it makes me sad, because the reason I was doing it was before I even understood what racism was I wanted it to be smaller because I thought it'd make me more beautiful. I was too scared to get braids for the longest time, too, because I thought that would make me seem too black, I guess, and I straightened my hair. And then the first time I got braids actually was in high school, and this kid told me I look more white with them. Becoming comfortable with myself had a lot to do with embracing not only my identity, but like my natural features and what the idea of beauty actually meant. And so I didn't feel attractive probably till college, and I'm in college now, so that's not that long ago. I ended up doing a bunch of things in terms of working in my town and like working in my like town's government, because I wanted my siblings to have a better experience with race and like perception than I did. And I thought that if I can make people more comfortable talking about race, then we can address racism. So that was like my whole thing in like high school and after that.
We also had to distinguish between racism and discrimination. Anybody in here in this room can be discriminated against based on their race, their sexual orientation, anything like that. So everybody can be in the yes and have in the maybe as well, because discrimination is different than racism. So I am discriminated every day for many different things: being black, being of size, being a Satanist, being someone who lives an alternative lifestyle in every single way you can possibly imagine. So I see and I have more empathy for people on a more micro level because of how I am discriminated against on a daily basis, just trying to live my life and just trying to breathe. As a black woman, there's a lot of sexual stereotypes. Black women and women of size make up the majority of the money that comes into the adult entertainment industry. But on the outside world, there's not a lot of respect. It's seen as a form of fetishism. So the ways that black women are treated it's kind of emotional. As someone who dates predominantly out of their race, it's very difficult for me to be in a relationship with someone who is of no color because they don't understand. I have to make sure that I'm not being used as a fetish just because of my skin tone. I need to make sure that you're willing to date me for who I am as opposed to the color of my skin. But when it comes to things like relationships and life, it's very difficult. It can be difficult. It's worth it.
I'd also like to add, kind of going off of what you said, is something that we haven't necessarily touched on yet, is the fact that what causes discrimination, and it's essentially characterizing someone, whether it be a stereotype, a prejudice for their race, gender, and as someone that's coming from like a Muslim background, being a woman, and going to private schools most of my life surrounded by predominantly white people, I feel like it's just a lack of being open-minded, that Black people can be intellectual, Black people can speak a certain way, and it's not being whitewashed, it's not, one thing or another.
I moved from the yes over to the no because my parents were journalists, so I moved all over when I was growing up. Spent a large majority of my childhood in France. I am also Jewish, and I would wear my kippah coming out of shul. There were multiple times where I got the shit kicked out of me by people that just didn't like me for being Jewish. But as I listened to the conversation, I realized that even though this question didn't directly say, have you faced discrimination in the United States, I feel like this conversation really is rooted in the way that we are racialized in this country and this country's conception of race. And while I may have felt uncomfortable at times as a Jewish person in certain spaces, I've never felt true anti-Semitism in this country the way that I did in Europe.
I used to go to a synagogue, partly because there was a girl there that I thought was cute. One day, a couple kids saw me leaving. I hadn't taken my yarmulke off, and they said, it was in French, but they basically said, "Beak boy, come over here." Talking about this. And I didn't know anybody. I just walked over to them. One of them sucker punches me immediately. Then the other guy sweeps my legs out from under me, and they just start wailing on me. I stopped wearing a yarmulke after that.
In terms of like discrimination and how people sort of fit you in little boxes and whatever, I've had to like codify myself through so many different masks, not only from a racial perspective, but also from being a woman, my sexuality, all of that. But it's different. I think how we sort of define that discrimination is a perspective where somebody tries to fit you in a box that is not your own, and then you just trying to have to be forced to live through that because you don't have any other way, and nobody really talks about it until you do. And I think you're totally fine for switching and all that, but I think your experience is as valid as any of us.
I kind of agree with what a lot of people are saying about what is discrimination, and a big part of me, I feel like, is how you take it and internalize it and think about it, because people have made comments to me, and something I love about Judaism is there's a lot of humor and jokes in it. So if someone wants to say something to me, I can just laugh it off, because I feel like a lot of people just say things, and yes, some people have very bad intentions, but other people just kind of want to ask questions and learn, and if they're trying to get the right answer and learn more about someone, then I think that's very important for the no's, the maybes, and the yeses.
I would love to respond to that. I'm in the maybe box because I present very white. I'm gonna guess most people here think I'm 100% white, but my mom immigrated here from South Asia, and when I was a little kid, I got a lot of these comments that are like, "Where are you from?" I had a substitute teacher tell me, "You don't look like the other kids here." But now, as I've grown up, I feel like I present very white. It's just the way that my body aged. And I think we need to talk about the undertones coming from both of those backgrounds. Of a lot of times, it comes from maybe being a woman, maybe it comes from being Jewish, maybe it comes from people having this uneducated curiosity that comes off really, really rude. And I think that we can encompass all of these things, and everyone has experienced being put into this box that we don't want to be put in. Obviously, I haven't experienced the things that you guys have experienced because you live every single day with these comments, with discrimination, and I think that what we can take out of this is we can choose where we want to put ourselves and where we want to identify, but when someone else puts us into that box is where it's really harmful, even if it's coming from those underlying tones of, you're a Jewish woman and I want to talk about that, but I'm not talking about it in the right way.
I think first of all, like it took me 25 years and counting to really understand that I'm a human being, because I think in America race is so, race, your gender, your sexuality, all these aspects that are parts of you but not who you are, they create such a deep filter. And when people understand, I am Japanese and Black. I identify as 100% Asian, 100% Black. And I think that was kind of like what allowed me to really understand that concept, especially constantly being told, oh, you're half, so you only get access to this. When I'm like, you actually don't know who I am. And like, I am actually deeply connected with the community that I love, which happens to be both the Black and Asian community. Also the women community, et cetera, et cetera. I think the most human thing to do is to dehumanize others, because not necessarily from the intention to, although sometimes it can be, but I think we've taken so many of these boxes and categories and filters and we've really internalized them. So a lot of us fail to recognize that we're human beings too. And a lot of it is more so a projection of whoever is talking to you, where it's like, oh, I know who I am, but this is your ignorance. In high school, the stereotypes I got for being Black was when I got scholarships or any kind of achievements, it was, oh, you got it because you're Black. Not because you're talented, not because you work hard, but because you're Black. And then also for the Asian stereotypes, it's often, oh, like, of course you're good at math. Like, of course you got a good score on this because you're Asian, but not necessarily giving me the credit. And what I learned was it wasn't about being Black or Asian. It was the fact that I just work hard and I put a lot of love and energy into the work that I do. And it can be hard to grapple with that when we're used to putting people from different communities down.
I have made racist comments in the past.
I'm gonna say maybe, just because I feel like I may have said something, maybe not intentionally, but like it may have been racist, because a lot of times you can say things and it might not be intentional, but it still hurts somebody. So like I do want to just put myself here and take accountability. Like, yeah, recently though, no, racist things just don't really come out of my mouth like that. I'm very conscious of what I say. Like I make that a point. So yeah, recently not, but like 10 years ago though, 5 years ago, maybe. So that's why I'm here, yo.
Yeah, I kind of want to just respond to that, because I would be in the maybe if that was the case. But I think for me, it's a lot of the fact that over time, you do learn about actions that you've committed in the past. And for example, sometimes you just start saying things that other people say because you think it's cool or whatever else. Or in my case, for example, my family would reference white people as swine. And I don't know, that was just the way that they used to do it. So because of that, me being a child and learning that, that was something that would come out of my mouth. And I take accountability for that, and I know that that's not the proper way to talk about somebody, but there's so many different reasons on why that might happen.
Can I make a distinction between prejudice and racism? Okay, so you can't be racist to a white person because you can only be prejudiced, at least in America, because you can't oppress the oppressor. So if the oppressive group, like the bigger group of white people, are technically like in charge systemically, you cannot be racist to a white person, but you can be prejudiced because there's nothing you can say to them that can put a barrier to put them off from what they want to do or hold them back from their goals, etc. So yeah, you can be prejudiced, but I do not believe you can be racist to a white person.
When you said that, the word racism, I'm curious how you define that. And this question, as a white person, you said that it doesn't apply to white people. I'm curious what your definition of the word is.
So we kind of live in a very, very fun, interesting society where legislation has dictated what race looks like. We have United States versus Ozawa, which is where somebody was trying to naturalize in the United States, and they couldn't because they were not deemed white enough. He had lived here for X amount of time, and his property was taken away. So again, he was trying to naturalize under, anthropological terms, and they said, no, it's because you're not white enough. That is what we're referencing when we're saying that racism is not possible against white people because white is the standard. It has always been the standard. There's a phenomenon that is talked about called the transparency phenomenon, or white transparency, where white people have the privilege to not think about themselves because they are the standard. everything that has been set is the standard, because in order to naturalize or become a member of the United States, you had to be white in the terms that the Supreme Court told you. And that even now that impacts things. People who are Armenian are considered white, and we still call it that because the Supreme Court dictated it. But people who are Chinese were not considered white, but people who were Japanese at some point were, and now they're not anymore. So these are ways that kind of impacts it.
Thank you for
Feeding off of that, upbringing is so important, and like the way that you were raised. I'm in the yes circle, and it goes back to the experience I talked about before, getting the shit kicked out of me when I was a kid. French society is extremely racist to people of the Romani people, to Algerians, to Muslims. When I was a kid and I got beat up, I thought all Algerians were bad people. I just did. And I thought that until I was maybe 16, 17 years old, and I actually met an Algerian person. Before then, I would have said, I don't associate with those people. Those are the people that hate me. And it was just purely based in ignorance and the fact that all the other white people in my life were also like, yeah, those are the bad people. Those are the bad people. And it's conversations like this, just being around each other, that helps to break that cycle.
I want to add to upbringing. You know, I was born and raised in Boston. I grew up, it was very diverse. My parents never ever made me feel like Black people were these bad human beings, which I'm so grateful for. I up and left Boston as soon as I turned 18. And that's when I kind of realized, like, you know, not everything is like rainbows and butterflies. Like, I would be talking to someone and they'll like add something in there, like a little racist comment or something. I'm like, oh, that's not okay. I don't like you. Like, it's just so crazy how when you leave your bubble, you realize that the real world is kind of horrible. And I have never kind of molded myself to be like, oh, okay, these people think it's fine, so I have to think it's fine. You know, it's just, I think I'm just very grateful for my upbringing personally.
So I have a question for the people in the know. You said you've never said or been racist, but I feel like as humans, we've at least said something racist. Racism is not only like towards Black and white people. You could be racist towards Asians, Hispanics, Caribbeans. So at some point, I feel like someone probably, you walked up to a Indian person and be like, oh, this person stinks, or you assume they stink just by looking at them. You might not say it out loud, but you thought it, and that's still racist. Your mind still went towards that racist remark. So throughout your whole life, why do you say, no, you've never been racist?
I personally don't think those things when I see another race other than my own. That's why I'm in the know, and I don't think I've literally ever said, you know, anything racist towards a person. Maybe I've thought of something sometime, but no, I have never voiced something racist towards another person. That's why I'm in the know.
Also, to a point, like when you go to a comedy show and they're talking about different race and you laugh about it, is that being racist? I feel like there's a line between stereotypes and being actively racist. Like, I can go to someone and be like, I hate that white guy because he's tall and dorky or whatever it is. I don't know. But I feel like...
I think that...
I know, I'm sorry.
Can I ask the question to you guys real quick? Because you guys keep bringing it up. You guys are establishing, like, you need a power structure to be racist, kind of. You know, there's a lot of dog whistles like 1350, and I don't know, you know, if people don't know that, despite making up 13% of the population, Black people contribute to 50% of crime. That's what white people will say. We've talked about prejudice before and how, while it might be true, like, oh, what a bland seasoned food joke, it's a statistical correct fact. I think it's racist. If you were to go to another country, like let's say India, and an Indian person told a white person they were a colonizer, could you be racist to a white person then? I think it doesn't really matter about the power structure. I don't think it really matters about any of it. There is obvious ways that you could be racist to white people. Calling them cracker is a racist term. Calling them anything that is attacking the race is racist. You don't need that power.
I think a lot of people in the knows are pretending to be a lot more perfect than they actually are.
Yeah, like, I think you guys are trying to be like holier than thou.
I think this opens up a broader conversation about the ways that we consume media and the ways that racism can be embedded in that media and whether or not that makes us complicit in the racism that's happening. I mean, for example, like there's a big problem on Instagram Reels. I don't know if anybody here is a anti-TikTok Instagram Reels baddie. But the comment sections, if you've ever been in an Instagram Reels comment section, it is the most heinous thing you've ever seen in your entire life. I swear to you, go look at it. It kind of, when I'll see things like that, I'll look at it, and obviously I won't agree with those things, and I won't like drop a like on a comment or anything because it's not what I believe. But at the same time, it makes me think, if I'm looking at that and not actively doing anything to go against it, like, does that make me complicit in what's happening? Exactly. And at that moment, I'm like, okay, do I go through and report all of these Instagram Reels comments? Or like, is that actually changing anything? Because that cycle is still gonna keep repeating. There's still gonna be, the moment I delete a bot off Instagram's comment, another bot is gonna come and comment the same thing. So I think it's like, within that complicitness in the racist structures embedded in like the media that we're consuming, I think the interesting question is less so like, how does that pin on the individual, and more so how can we change it in a way that is sustainable and something for the individual to do that will actually enact a sense of change.
Sometimes when I make a racist comment, it's not necessarily coming from a place of hatred, but the comment is being made so that it's exposed to everybody else. So like, let's say for example, I have a friend and they feel like it's fine to make a racist comment because I'm black, and they don't see it as racist, because I think somebody mentioned it, because I guess in the culture here, it gets so normal to say racist things that like a joke about like, oh, going to go pick up milk, or a joke about something about watermelon, it doesn't seem as harsh. So for me to kind of like tell them a racist comment back, and I won't necessarily mean it with the hatred, but I'm just saying, if that felt out of pocket to you, that's the same way that it feels for me. But I think the big connotation here is that we're talking about in America, but in Colombia, like, it's funny because when you're walking around and you make a racist comment, it's things that we don't acknowledge. I think when we're talking about racism here, we're talking about things that we pick up on the regular, or things that if somebody were said it, it would get them canceled. But there's other things that like in a society, when you're there and you may not realize it's racism, but it is racism.
I just want to point out.
Ironbeam is the industry-leading broker catering to traders worldwide. With the free Ironbeam platform,
Extra. This shit is hard.
Work goes smoothly when you know the right steps. With Asana, you can coordinate tasks across teams and stay on track, so your team can spend more time celebrating wins. Try it for free at asana.com.
Extra. This shit is hard.
Shopping with your parents can be embarrassing.
Why would they sell jeans with holes in them? I'm going to speak to the manager.
Mom!
That hoodie is giving. You should get it. YOLO.
Thanks to the Chase mobile app, your kid can shop independently while you keep an eye on their spending. So you can go from
We can be twinsies.
to
How was shopping? Saw you stayed on budget.
Thanks, Mom. Freedom for kids, control for parents. That's family banking from Chase.
Account subject to approval. Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank NA, member FDIC.
Extra. This shit is hard.
Hi, Little Bob here from Bob's Discount Furniture. This Memorial Day weekend, we're kicking summer off the Bob's way in all my stores coast to coast. So start your summer staycation off right by shopping my everyday low prices on the season's hottest styles. Consumer Reports recommended mattresses, all with flexible financing and fast, friendly delivery.
Oh my Bob.
Oh my Bob, indeed. So skip the phony sales and gimmicks and celebrate summer with the values you deserve. Oh my Bob!
Bob's Discount Furniture.
Now at Verizon, we have some big news for your peace of mind. For all our customers, existing and new, we're locking in low prices for 3 years guaranteed on My Plan and My Home. That's future you peace of mind. And everyone can save on a brand new phone on My Plan when you trade in any phone from one of our top brands. That's new phone peace of mind. Because at Verizon, whether you're already a customer or you're just joining us, we got you. Visit Verizon today. Price guarantee applies to then current base monthly rate. Additional terms and conditions apply for all offers.
Extra. This shit is hard.
Meet Asana, a work management platform that helps companies get more done and save more time. Teams can stay connected while they track updates and visualize timelines. Asana, a smarter way to work. Try it for free today at asana.com.
Extra. This shit is hard.
With Asana, you can manage any kind of work, from project intake to campaign management to strategic planning or anything else your team works on. Asana works for you. Try for free today at asana.com.
Get ready for Universal Epic Universe, featuring the wizarding world of Harry Potter, Ministry of Magic, and Super Nintendo World. Opens May 22nd at Universal Orlando Resort. Tickets and packages on sale now at universalorlando.com.
Extra. This shit is hard. Extra. This shit is hard.
Discover new music with a swipe on the YouTube Music app.
got blood on that money and I still count it. They got blood on that money and I still count it. I can't help the way I'm raised up. That is the pink, I try to give it up. I can't give it up. I hang with all the killers and the robbers. I pour me up some drinks, they fuck my problems. The federal is fucking with my nigga tie. It's Black Amigo gang till a nigga die. I heard the police looking for me cause I got the hood high. Heard the police looking for me cause I got the hood high. They got girl on that money and I still count it. They got boy on that money, watch my nigga count it.
Your favorite TV shows are on YouTube. Enjoy the latest releases. Get Crunchyroll, AMC Plus, Max, and more. Find your favorite movies and TV on YouTube.
Better not get too comfortable. Bitch, don't get too comfortable. Better not get too comfortable. Bitch, don't get too comfortable. Better not get too comfortable. Bitch, don't get too comfortable. Better not get too comfortable. Bitch, don't get too comfortable. Better not get too comfortable. 4-5 hoes up a minute, I'm gaining. Yeah, it's $5 poker hunters, go and get a genie. 3-4 stacks on a chinchilla bean. Got a cup full of mud and Drake and Celine. Yeah, can't think for yourself, gotta think for the team. Yeah, fuck me like a star, gotta treat me like a king. Yeah, gotta roll with a chopper with a certain amount of bling. Yeah, bitch, don't get too comfortable. Better not get too comfortable. Yeah, swerving a bulletproof coupe. Yeah, if I got you, I shoot out the roof. Yeah, turbo 63, shorter look blacker. Knees, I keep it a G. Louis V, came with a duffel bag full of moolah. I put the fragrance on your pooch. Got my attention, stay exclusive. Put on the Rolls Royce intervention. It's hard to stay sober when I'm spinning. It's hard to stay faithful when you're winning. Showing you grateful and independent. Fuck all the danger. Spray out a stranger, you get too close. I say it 300, but the rain really fold. You talking back to me, I'ma cut your throat. Bitch, don't get too comfortable. Better not get too comfortable. Better not get too comfortable. Yeah, bitch, don't get too comfortable. Better not get too comfortable. Better not get too comfortable. 4-5 hoes up a minute, I'm gaining. Yeah, it's $5 poker hunters, go and get a genie. 3-4 stacks on a chinchilla bean. Got a cup full of mud and Drake and Celine. Yeah, can't think for yourself, gotta think for the team. I'm thinking colossal, thinking about flying the vibes out, going tribal. I know I'm impeccable, seen what these niggas can do when that shit get federal. Caught in between, eating up a queen, eating up a bean like vegetables. Step out on the scene, living like a king. I know this game can be treacherous. They was thinking that it couldn't be done and it's tangible. Tell me how you get this comfortable, you wearing a wild animal. Simply did it because they said it couldn't be done, and I went beyond. Can't even pay for my son, he on probation, they revoked this bond. Yeah, gotta light another blunt, yeah, I'm not a publicity stunt, yeah. I done been through more shit this month than a nigga been through in a lifetime. Cut a few niggas and bitches off, they were just wasting my time. Pretty and fine, the way this girl's designed, hope she can read my mind. Bitch, don't get too comfortable. Better not get too comfortable. Better not get too comfortable, yeah. Bitch, don't get too comfortable. Better not get too comfortable. Better not get too comfortable. 4-5 hoes up a minute, I'm gaining. Yeah, it's $5 poker hunters, go and get a genie. 3-4 stacks on a chinchilla bean. Got a cup full of mud and Drake and Celine. Yeah, can't think for yourself, gotta think for the team. Bitch, don't get too comfortable. Better not get too comfortable. Better not get too comfortable. Yeah, bitch, don't get too comfortable. Better not get too comfortable. Better not get too comfortable.
watching a toothbrush play Billie Eilish. But did you know that there's a YouTube Music app where you can also listen to the EDM version, the ska version, and of course, the original version? Duh. Get YouTube Music Premium.
Codeine crazy. Yeah, pouring bubbly, pouring bubbly, pour that bubbly, pour that bubbly, pour that bubbly. We done went through too much. You hear me? Pour that bubbly, drain that muddy, man, we covered it. Yeah, I'm covered in. I was thugging it, I was just loving it. That's for the muffin lit. That's for the other bitch. That ain't for you, dog. That's for the other niggas. That ain't for you, shock. That's for that other bitch. I'm going crazy about it. I'm going codeine crazy. That's how we living it. I'm feeling lovely. I'm drinking bubbly. I'm drinking bubbly. Take out my problems and drink out the bottle and fuck on them out again. Audemars, this not a carnival, this is a Royal Cartier. Don Perignon, I get done from a grown, I can show for the round. I pull up with my rounds, I pull up out of town. I corrupt the town with them girls and them pounds. I grew up on the grounds with them dealers and hounds. We order more bottles and fuck on more models and pass them around. I say everything triple time. Roll it AP, you blow triple time. I just know the ones to call upon. I just had to pay my dog a bond. Looking at me like a triple threat. Every time a nigga talk a check, smoke the cushion like a cigarette. Run it back to hear my internet. Celebrate like the championship. Celebrate like the championship. Celebrate like the championship. Celebrate like the championship. I told you, I told you, I told you, I told you. Don't tell me you celebrating to the moolah. I just went rid the ruler with the jeweler. I just went celebrating like a gooner. I put down the nigga straight out the sewer. Like a loaded chopper, I'm about to shoot it. I'm so fucking sick and tired of these rumors. I just died beside a cutie with spooner. Take it back and take a look at yourself. Take the lesson, put it all in the air. Too many days gone by. Sit by the phone, wait until I reply. Dry my eyes, believe it or not. I can never see a tear falling. Water dripping, don't be like a faucet. I just took a bitch to eat at Chipotle. Spend another 60,000 on the rolling. All my diamonds got your brain washed. She saw my dick, I got my brain washed. And for that shit, she got your man pop. See what they did to Biggie and Pop. Pour a little liquor out. Pour a little more liquor out. Pour it out, pour it out, pour it out. Codeine crazy, codeine crazy, codeine crazy, codeine crazy, codeine crazy, codeine crazy. All this motherfucking money got me codeine crazy. Drowning in activist suicide. When I hit the scene, it's homicide. Diamond pick a ring, a lollipop. Fuck the hate, I pull up in the drop. Diamonds colder than the glacier. Ballin' harder than the Pacers. I've been trying to have some patience. Told my mama she should pray on it. Told the streets they gotta wait on it. She gon' put a nigga name on it. I just dropped the whole thing on it. I'm making USDs overseas. That's US dollars that you can't achieve. But my white girl, she say, nigga, please. For that white girl, she say, nigga, please. Playing poker, now we back in stroke. I forgot her name, but her pussy soaking. When I seen her on the pole. Reminded myself when I used to come over. Reminded myself when I used to get loaded. Reminded myself that I'm still getting loaded. The coupe fully loaded. This whip fully loaded. This whip fully loaded. The clip fully loaded. I try to control it. Let's pop us a bottle. Let's pop us a bottle. These niggas who bogus. Let's pour up a paint. I'ma fuck around faint like I'm Kid Cudi probably. I fuck around faint. I'ma fall on a drink. Rockin' tongue for it. Poppin' Molly. Married to this motherfucking money. Codeine crazy. Codeine crazy. Codeine crazy, codeine crazy, codeine crazy, codeine crazy. All this motherfucking money got me codeine crazy. You thought I forgot about us? I know that you know I don't fold under pressure. I'm back on the road, I get low on the pedal. We live by the codes of the ghetto. I'm closing this out with my memo. I'm treating this shit like a demo. I'm putting my heart and my soul in this shit and some more. I'm in that Dolce Gabbana. I might get out the Madonna. I get it crack in the summer. Strapped in the lack in the Hummer. Front of the paint in my pocket. All this lingo gotta pay this taking everything that come with these millions. I'm taking everything that come with my children. Yeah, yeah. Pop that bubble, train that muddy, bro, we covered it. Yeah, I'm covered it. I was thugging it, I was just loving it. That's for the muffin it, that's for the other bitch. That ain't for you, dog. That's for them other niggas. Ain't for you, shot. That's for that other bitch. I'm going crazy about it. I'm going codeine crazy. That's how we living it. I'm feeling lovely. I'm drinking bubbly.
Codeine crazy, codeine crazy. All this motherfucking money got me codeine crazy.
Hey, what's up? It's Tyson from the All American Rejects. Check out our new song Sandbox on YouTube and YouTube Shorts. Your one-stop shop for new music.
If anybody know, I know. Yeah. Get a plastic bag. Go ahead and pick up all the cash. Go ahead and pick up all the cash. You danced all night, girl, you deserve it. Get a plastic bag. Go ahead and pick up all the cash. Go ahead and pick up all the cash. You danced all night, girl, you deserve it. Oh yeah, Magic City on a Monday. Esco treat that shit like church on Sunday. Niggas look at us like maybe one day. Maybe one day, maybe one day. But for now, nigga got the ones with me. I be in the club with the bands like I got the keyboard and the drums with me. Maybe one day, you will understand how I get it though. Man, it's everything I ever said it is. Mixing liquor cups with the sedatives. I roll up with the bands on me. This a good night to dance on me. This a good night to dance on me. This a good night to dance on me. Get a plastic bag. Go ahead and pick up all the cash. Go ahead and pick up all the cash. You danced all night, girl, you deserve it. Get a plastic bag. Go ahead and pick up all the cash. Go ahead and pick up all the cash. You danced all night, girl, you deserve it.
Yeah, last time they seen the shit was BML. I know Big Meech and J-Bo, they was there. I know OG India and Sugar there. Oh yeah, bust it out the rapper, throw it in the air. Oh yeah, throw enough money on a Monday, then you make in a year. Oh yeah, all the 60,001 told the owner about to break a record. Hit the parking lot, is looking like a video. Bunch of pretty hoes, house of Diddy house. Whole lot of sands and we pass around candy. Magic City on a Monday. We worship this like a Sunday. Oh yeah. Get a plastic bag. Go ahead, pick up all the cash. Go ahead, pick up all the cash. You danced all night, girl, you deserve it. Get a plastic bag. Go ahead, pick up all the cash. Go ahead and pick up all the cash. You danced all night, girl, you deserve it.
Get a plastic bag. Go ahead and pick up all the cash. Go ahead and pick up all the cash. You danced all night, girl, you deserve it. Get a plastic bag. Go ahead and pick up all the cash. Go ahead and pick up all the cash. You danced all night, girl, you deserve it.
Get a plastic bag. Go ahead, pick up all this cash. Go ahead, pick up all this cash. You danced all night, girl, you deserve it. Get a plastic bag. Go ahead, get a plastic bag. Go ahead, pick up all this cash. You danced all night, girl, you deserve it.
YouTube Premium is ad-free YouTube and ad-free videos on the YouTube Kids app, so kids can bounce to Kids Bop without missing a beat. Try 1 month free.
Oh yeah. Check this out. I get mad zooted, I got this bad thing I recruited.
My passion is a movie, I say fuck her cause I screwed up. I stay on Miley Cyrus everywhere I go, I'm screwed up. I know my Texas niggas got my back and that's for sure though. Sippin' on Easter pain like it's tangy rain. We ain't never gon' get this fucking life up. I know them boys say they get to the money over there, baby. Trust me, these niggas not like us. I put charisma in my lingo when she fell for me. I gave her realness and that's all she gon' get from me. On the fire superstar, I'm straight up out the hood. I just did a dose of Percocets with some strippers. I just did a dose of Percocets with some strippers. I just pour this lean in my cup like it's liquor. I just need a whole lot of drugs in my system. I just try acid for the first time, I feel good. Treasure bring misery, codeine in my delivery. I pulled up in a big beat, swerving like a hippie. Moving with the dopers and pushers. In the Rover, ducking undercover, hugging the interstate. Pumping a couple cakes, the drum hanging under me. Got a chain hanging over me. God watching over me, all my angels watch over me. I bag it like groceries, keep some cash flowing over me. Got some money all in my hand and I stack it all under me. The young niggas under me, they gon' stand up in any war. We built this shit ground up at the head of a seminar. I talk for the real ones, I talk for them niggas, they feel this shit out in Belgium. Free band gang. I just did a dose of Percocets with some strippers. I just pour this lean in my cup like it's liquor. I just need a whole lot of drugs in my system. I just try acid for the first time, I feel good.
No matter what kind of work your team does, Asana can help manage it. From project intake, to campaign management, to strategic planning and more, Asana works for you. Try it for free today at asana.com.
Call it how it is. Hit it. I promise you, swear, I swear. There, bitch. Yo, Percocet, Miley Percocet, Percocet, Miley Percocet, rep the set, gotta rep the set. Chase a chick, never chase a bitch. Mask on, fuck it, mask on. Mask on, fuck it, mask on. Percocet, Miley Percocet, chase a chick, never chase a bitch. 2 cups, toast up with the game. From food stamps to a whole nother domain. Out the bottle, I'm a living proof. Ain't compromising, $500,000 on the coupe. Drug houses, looking like Peru. Graduated, I was overdue. Pink Miley, I can barely move. Ask about me, I'm gon' bust a move. Red James, 33 chains. Ocean now, cruising Biscayne. Top off, that's a liability. Hit the gas, boosting my adrenaline. Percocet, Miley Percocet, Percocet, Miley Percocet, rep the set, gotta rep the set. Chase a chick, never chase a bitch. Mask on, fuck it, mask off. Mask on, fuck it, mask off. Percocet, Miley Percocet, chase a chick, never chase a bitch. Chase no bitches. Photo maybe, I drive anything. Buy my rings, make them go insane. My guillotine, drink from melazine, taking beams, go to those extremes. Let's go. Parliament, calamari wins. Parlay in Vegas, we was in attendance. Before the business, Theodore lenses, more prescriptions, focus on the mission. Put my intermission, never take a break. We can switch states, touchdown foreign plates. Switch, ain't no way.
You're watching a toothbrush play Billie Eilish. But did you know there's a YouTube Music app where you can listen to other rare covers of your favorite songs? And of course, the original. Duh. Get YouTube Music Premium.
Astronaut. Yeah. I seduce you with this Aston Martin I bought today. Oh, you done did more drugs than me, you must be hallucinating. Oh, you did more perks than me, you must be hallucinating. No man of sober, these like these, you must have seen say. I seduce you with this Rolls Royce truck that's on the way. Chanel is on the invoice, I about to start today. That bitch getting on my nerves, man, I had to send out the Central Pay. Oh, you done blow more chase than me, boy, then you gotta be hallucinating. I'm a young nigga with this chick and now I fuck it up. The freshest thing I ever bought was that Bentley truck. I can turn the scribble to a diva. Chinchilla owner, that's Peter. Shawty might be gone after needle. Rockstar gone like the Beatles. I took styrofoams in the meeting. 3 cell phones when you greet me. Got a bitch waiting in the lounge. I done had to move a few pounds. Looking at my chain, don't drown. And he put the diamonds in his mouth. All bad bitch pop out. When a nigga stepping at the house. Every day we walk the red carpet. Every day one of my hoes falling in love. I seduce you with this Aston Martin I bought today. Oh, you done did more drugs than me, you must be hallucinating. Oh, you did more perks than me, you must be hallucinating. No man of sober, these like these, you must have seen say. I seduce you with this Rolls Royce truck that's on the way. Chanel is on the invoice, I about to start today. That bitch getting on my nerves, man, I had to send out the Central Pay. Oh, you done blow more chase than me, boy, then you gotta be hallucinating. I'm a young nigga with this chick and now I fuck it up. The freshest thing I ever bought was that Bentley truck. All I do is pop more bottles and give them to you. All they ever do is bring more problems to listen to. My chains, my ring on blame, they do all the seducing. I was kicking shit with your bitch, she did all of the choosing. Looking at my chain, don't drown. And they put the diamonds in his mouth. All bad bitch pop out. When a nigga stepping at the house. Every day we walk the red carpet. Every day one of my hoes falling in love. I seduce you with this Aston Martin I bought today. Oh, you done did more drugs than me, you must be hallucinating. Oh, you did more perks than me, you must be hallucinating. No man of sober, these like these, you must have seen say. I seduce you with this Rolls Royce truck that's on the way. Chanel is on the invoice, I about to start today. That bitch getting on my nerves, man, I had to send out the Central Pay. Oh, you done blow more chase than me, boy, then you gotta be hallucinating. I'm a young nigga with this chick and now I fuck it up. The freshest thing I ever bought was that Bentley truck. It's been a lot weighing on my shoulders, I ain't never gon' fold up. I had turboed on my motors, I was pushing boulders. I gave you some closure, on about the rover.
Your favorite TV shows are on YouTube. Enjoy the latest releases. Get Crunchyroll, AMC Plus, Max, and more. Find your favorite movies and TV on YouTube.
Yeah, nigga, this shit real out here. Running through the red light, looking through your rear view. Nigga might just sneak up on the car and try to spray you. Flavor keeps out here now, straight up. Ah, they ain't think I'll get my bag, hey. Ran it up and gave 'em a sad face. Now anywhere around the globe, you rep the gang and you got rank, yeah. Gotta converse with the manager when I walk inside the bank, yeah. Who would ever think they was sleeping on me? Go yard with $500,000 on me. R&B shit.
check my check speed. Try to take care of my family the best I know how. Bought myself a mansion, now gotta buy everybody a house. Taking care of my bitches like the mother of my child. God know what my brother seen, I gotta blow this trial. You don't get no guidance at the trenches to make it out. God know I never give up on you, never will. She getting hectic with the niggas that you kill for. Money got me hesitant, but I got to live for. All this fame getting terrible. All these rings and Berettas. Flawless victory change the weather. Hurricane natural disaster. Pour the lean for the bastards. Take the jet across the Atlas. God, I pray I forget my data. Cause I done grew up to be average. All the times he lied to me, you gave up on my arteries. I was such a worried child, just want you to be a part of me. Fish scale prophets made a man at me. Sleeping on the carpet made a man at me. Full of medication, I wouldn't change it. I was once broke but no complaining. I finally started to embrace that I'm famous. It's hard for me to erase when I was nameless. They ain't think I'll get my bag, eh? Ran it up and gave my sad face. Now anywhere around the globe, you rep the gang and you got rank, yeah. Gotta converse with the manager when I walk inside the bank, yeah. Who would ever think they was sleeping on me? Go yard with $500,000 on me. R&B's just I got possessed. All these diamonds on my chest. Running through the red light, peeking through the rear view. Niggas might just run up on the car, try to spray you. Yeah. Oh, they ain't think I get in my bag, yeah. Ran it up, gave them a sad face. Who would ever think they'll sleep on me? Who would ever think they'll sneak this me? Who would ever? All these bitches so possessed by these BBS's glaring out my chest.
On the YouTube Music app, you can bump your fave songs in the background while you do stuff in the foreground.
DJ Eskimo City, the coolest DJ on the motherfucking planet. I pour up yellow test, I pour up yellow test. So I gotta have it. Yeah. I pour up yellow test, I pour up yellow test. I gotta have it. Stacks hit inside the mattress. Racks hit inside the mattress. Packs hit inside the mattress. Gangs hit inside the mattress. Vert dipping through traffic. I'm getting better, I'm at practice. I'm working every day crafting. I'm cool on her, I done had her. Bounce back with a million. Hit the island like Gilligan. Not just a regular civilian. I rap for the squad, I'm a champion. Remember we hit up the highway, we got us a stash spot. Remember, as soon as we touch down, nigga, cash out. I get on the stage and rap till I pass out. Hit another city, I'm just grooving. I was trying to tell you I was losing. I was gonna tell you I'm improving. I done caught a vibe, she was choosing. Gotta keep my pride, I'm a general. Gotta keep it real with some criminals. Gotta keep my focus, I'm phenomenal. Once I cock and load, I'm the money man. Got 100 hoes, got 100 zans. We gon' party hard to the moon.
Meet Asana, a work management platform that helps companies get more done and save more time. Teams can stay connected while they track updates and visualize timelines. Asana, a smarter way to work. Try it for free today at asana.com.
Get ready for Universal Epic Universe, featuring the wizarding world of Harry Potter Ministry of Magic and Dark Universe. Opens May 22nd at Universal Orlando Resort. Tickets and packages on sale now at universalorlando.com.
Moon cone, she done fell in love with the mushrooms. Got my college girls like a kung fu. Put some calls syrup in a Mountain Dew. You would never see what I go through. Gotta keep my vibe, I'm a general. Gotta keep it real with some criminals. Gotta take my time with these bad bitches. I don't wanna die with no bad bitches. Send a flight for a bad bitch. Overnight for a bad bitch. Cartier on a bad bitch.
DJ Esco.
Cartier on a bad bitch. Stacks hitters out the mattress. Racks hitters out the mattress. Packs hitters out the mattress. Gangs hitters out the mattress. Vert dipping through traffic. I'm getting better, I'm at practice. I'm working every day crafting. I'm cool on her, I done had her. Bounce back with a million. Hit the island like Gilligan. Not just a regular civilian. I rap for the squad, I'm a champion. Remember we hit up the highway, we got us a stash spot. Remember as soon as we touch down, nigga cash out. I never told the world about you, I never told the homies about you, not once. I never had no bitter towards you, I never had no drama for you, not once. I never wanna go to none of these award shows, that's not me. Only the time will tell the day I prevail and give me a Grammy. Mexico kept it real from the start. If I did it for you, it came from the heart. Came from the trenches, it turned into art. I wake up and do it way better tomorrow. I wake up and cook up a kilo. Take a flight on a jet out to Rio. Smile for you all day. We come out the hallway. Murder in broad day. Murder in broad day. Sit in the passenger side with the tool on my lap. Got lawyers and actors and models pursuing me now. A foundation built on loyalty. You can't ruin me now. Stacks hitters out the mattress. Racks hitters out the mattress. Packs hitters out the mattress. Gangs hitters out the mattress. Vert dipping through traffic. I'm getting better, I'm at practice. I'm working every day crafting. I'm cool on her, I done had her. Bounce back with a million. Hit the island like Gilligan. Not just a regular civilian. I rap for the squad, I'm a champion. Remember we hit up the highway, we got us a stash spot. Remember as soon as we touch down, nigga cash out. Goodbye. I pour up yellow test, I pour up yellow test, cause I gotta have it. I pour up yellow test, I pour up yellow test, cause I gotta have it.
Listen to Shocking. Good podcasts on the YouTube Music app.
Maybe we just running out of time. Ain't no need of trying to hold you up, cause you always mine. But I can't trust nobody. I was down, wasn't nobody left. They didn't turn it back on me, never turned on myself. Ain't no need of trying to hold you up, cause you always mine. But I can't trust nobody. I was down, wasn't nobody left. They didn't turn it back on me, never turned on myself. I can't trust nobody. I can't trust nobody, I know. Left me alone, I was grinding. I had to find myself. Real one had to remind myself. Sometimes even rich niggas get lost. I'm experiencing more paranoid. Finding love got me more paranoid. I can't tell who real anymore. It's the ones that I cherish and adore. It'll never be like it was before. Before I was climbing up the charts. When you leaving, you leave me no choice. I come back on a platinum Rolls Royce. I come through if you need me, of course. Hope it comes to the day we rejoice. I got your back like a spine. Maybe we just running out of time. Ain't no need of trying to hold you up, cause you always mine. But I can't trust nobody. I was down, wasn't nobody left. They didn't turn it back on me, never turned on myself. Maybe we just running out of time. Ain't no need of trying to hold you up, cause you always mine. But I can't trust nobody. I was down, wasn't nobody left. They didn't turn it back on me, never turned on myself. Never could trust you, I still got your location on. Fell out of love, I delete all the news I phone. show you vulnerability, keep it calm. Had her eating sushi at my palm. Got a new penthouse in at the Palms. Got a flock of birds wrapped around my arms. Tryna park the Bugatti in the lobby. Went to Puerto Rico, went to Bali. Got her body done just for a hobby. Got her skating on new ice like it's hockey. Made her throw away all the Versace. Bitches fucking each other, we watching. Maybe we just running out of time.
You know how we be rocking.
Ain't no need to try to hold you up, cause you always fine. But I can't trust nobody. I was down, wasn't nobody left. They didn't turn it back on me, never turned to myself.
White light shining, all brain on the bandit. With the Cadillac, panoramic, no panties. Old school Chevy, 55 granddaddy. Gotta throw some salt on it, cause you know I'm getting at it. Throw the fork on it, then put it in traffic. Throw the sauce on it, gotta flying out of Dallas. Hope you didn't do it to yourself, that's tragic. Hope you didn't throw away what we established. Hope you ain't turn your back on your family. Way they nigga look around here, they'll backstab you. Word from your motherfucking brother, young nigga. I just wanna see you happy, I just wanna see you happy. Coming through the cut like a known Grand Reaper. About to get straight from this, trying to get a little cheaper.
Hold on that clip like a doped up needle. To hang on that skirt, whatever, there's a drink. Known it for the bad little bitch, it's a red bottle. And where your man's at hurt, that the feds got him. I see you cruise the land, rubber through the west side. Go Rolex to the tech, your peripheral. It's a full moon in the middle of the day. Got them wolves out, rockin' little Cartier.
Got the trap jam packed like the masquerade. For a few rivers, ain't gon' see they next birthday. Tell them young niggas round for you gon' knock something. If they gon' shoot, then shoot something. We better hear about this shit on the news or something. We better hear about this shit on the news or something. Man down over yonder, young came through holding on the cage like a drummer. They done took a boss out, nigga, no wonder. Niggas getting crossed out, nigga, no wonder.
Hoes getting H-style and we on gunja. These police wanna talk, but we won't say nothing. Niggas true to these clips, niggas won't say nothing. Niggas true to these clips, niggas won't say nothing.
Had the parquet jumping out the Pyrex. High definition glass on my pinky finger. Niggas swimming in the water, no powder. Niggas trying to walk on my shadow. Brought the bird on the bezel, I'm a well-known rebel. Told the young nigga free Ben Rockefeller. Told the young nigga free Ben Rockefeller. You can turn this off and I can kick it acapella. We worked the front street when mama said don't go, we went down. Chop house hit bone with that crack, then we went down. Shout out, don't fuck with these folks. These niggas be telling these days, they telling these days.
Known it for the bad little bitch, it's a red bottle. And where your man's at hurt, that the feds got him. I see you cruise the land, rubbing through the west side. Go Rolex to the tech, your peripheral. It's a full moon in the middle of the day. Got them wolves out, rockin' little Cartier.
Got the trap jam packed like the masquerade. For a few rivers, ain't gon' see they next birthday. Tell them young niggas round for you gon' knock something down. If they gon' shoot, then shoot something. We better hear about this shit on the news or something. We better hear about this shit on the news or something. Man down over yonder, young came through holding on the cage like a drummer. They took a cross out, nigga, no wonder. Niggas getting crossed out, nigga, no wonder. We still don't trust you. We still don't trust you. We still don't trust you. let you down. I don't wanna let you down. We still don't trust you. I don't wanna let you down. I don't wanna let you down. We still don't trust you. See how we live. We still don't trust you. I'm trying to keep it simple as possible. You know what I do? Get your Gucci on sight, yeah. Rollers on ice, yeah. Get first class flights, yeah. You ride it like a bike, yeah. Get a brand new wag, hey. Be quiet, don't brag, hey. You ain't never pump gas, hey. Need to keep it on task, yeah. Peeling off racks, hey. Keep it on track, hey. Fussing and fight, hey. Fucking all night, hey. Gotta make it count, yeah. Love it when it bounce, hey. Girl, that's tight, yeah. Get whatever you like, hey. Gucci on sight, yeah. Rollie on ice, yeah. Take my advice, hey. Live a better life. You got maze right now. You got it made right now. I won't let you down. I won't let you down. This life for right now. This life for right now. This life for right now. This life for you right now. We can't be to the streets. Niggas gon' know right now. And my name too big. Everybody know right now. I enjoy it outside. We been on the low for a while. I've been solo now. I've been going solo now. 20-ounce steaks. Hey, can't fit it on the plate. Jumbo shrimp. Hey, straight out the lake. Hey, sleeping on the boat. Hey, wake up, take dope. Hey, you don't want no smoke. Nigga don't want no starch. Hey, we gon' put it on the hood. Hey, before we put it on guard. Hey. Hey, you got maze right now. You got it made right now. I won't let you down. I won't let you down. This life for right now. This life for right now. This life for right now. This life for you. Yeah, yeah. Drinking dope turn me to a superhero. Yeah, yeah. Hit that pill, turn me to a superhero. Yeah, yeah. Boom, my 90s turn me to a superhero. Yeah, Metro. If your Metro don't trust you, I'm gonna shoot you. I'm on that dope again, I'm on that flow again. Switch up the flow again, yeah, yeah. Fly in the parachute, gripping that pole again. I'm on that all again, yeah, yeah. Candy in the cup, gotta get paid. King in the streets, young nigga made. Spraying on the crowd, take to the grave. Ain't having problems, I'm sipping the bar. Shout out to Dallas, my bitch is a star. Nigga get rich, better take you to war. Piss on your casket, shoot at your bra. Do you something nasty, roll you in a car. Bitch get graphic, fuck me in a car. I get your brand new roller tomorrow. I put that brand new roll on your arm. Ain't moving slow, but I'm still on R. Tennis bracelets and they came with the frost. Cuban links all the way up to your jaw. Step up the swag when I step on a bra. $2.50, ooh that's the cheapest one. Stacking these hundreds up like coupons. Told you from the beginning, upper echelon. I get the stacking up, I'm untouchable. I get to represent money multiple. trailer. Blue paper stuck together. Bad bitch gon' fuck my bezel.
You know it's high versus lows. 2 M's that's on the pedal. This bitch make that bitch jealous. This cup ain't never fell us. My J's they match your melon. You know it ain't no telling. Rather go duck a felon. The bankroll tuck for bellin'. Blew out what I'm inhaling. This gas broke out propelling. Back to back like a train. Think twice tryna derail us. This game like the Goodfellas. Took our propane propellers. She like go watch go chain. African Cinderella. Mix her in my vanilla. You can find us wherever. Dug in all types of weather. In space looking for better. Racks on racks stuck together. Sit red talk to the devil. Rosetta Stones forever. I yellow canary yellow.
Hot chocolate Cinderella. Trap off a tractor trailer. Blue paper stuck together. Bad bitch gon' fuck my bezel.
80% of your data is unusable by AI. That's a lot of missed opportunity. Highland makes enterprise content and unstructured data agentic AI ready, secure, and actionable. Highland. Turn insights into impact.
She send me a text, don't answer her call. She love when I flex and shop in her mall. Relieving her stress, I beat down her walls. She skied on her chest, she kissing my balls. We speedy in the bed, don't stop at the laws. VV's on my neck, I shine in the dark. It's easy to slip, don't want you to fall. Walking with a drip, that make a ball. Shoot your shit up, I got accurate aim. Fucked up a few mil, now I'm back like I came. That boy said my name, I went got me some strange. You know I don't crash, I just stay in my lane. Please don't compare because we not the same. Go on, ain't no gimmick, ain't clowning for fame. I trap for a living and been had a name. Work hard for these clothes, cars and watches and chains. Oh man, bro, what's got umbrella, just whip for the rain. These fucked up, let me slip in the game. This bitch let me fuck, this shit went to her brain. She know I'm a beast and ain't easy to tame. She squirm on my sheets while I beat out her frame. Dozed off, back up, she still saying my name. In love with my life and you wish we could trade. She send me a text, don't answer her call. She love when I flex and shop in her mall. Relieving her stress, I beat down her walls. She skied on her chest, she kissing my balls. We speedy in the bed, don't stop at the laws. VV's on my neck, I shine in the dark. It's easy to slip, don't want you to fall. Walking with a drip, that make a ball. Walking with a drip, that make a ball. Came in and she stripped, her panties and all. Lip gloss on her lip, suck me like a hall. A boss and a pimp, I bought me a ship. I walk with a limp, a fin in my drawers. When she start that shit, I put dig in her jaws. I hit it, don't miss, ain't no win, lose or draw. Hit it, don't miss, ain't no win, lose or draw. Came from flash holes and on that, on the south and that back. You get wet and get shot in your car. Why here you think that I'm messing, relaxing and matching? No capping, cause we had it hard. Ain't get this shit just from asking, I made this shit happen and passionate, played a big part. Ain't get this bitch off of Mac and it came off her actions and passions and stay in the court. She send me a text, don't answer her call. She love when I flex and shop in her mall. Relieving her stress, I beat down her walls. She skied on her chest, she kissing my balls. We speedy in the bed, don't stop at the laws. VV's on my neck, I shine in the dark. It's easy to slip, don't want you to fall. Walking with a drip, that make a ball. Cool in a bitch, better think twice, my shooter in the VIP. 10th grade, bought a frame, bill off of licks. Percocet feel like I'm cruising on the ship. It's your birthday, put some ice on your wrist. I reached every goal, had to write another list. I'm struggling on toe, watch you biting on the lip. I fly across the globe and I call another hit. They watching cause they know how slimy you can get. I'm running to the top, I'm bottom of the ditch. Your favorite burn and he running out of hits. Say the wrong word, I'm shoot him in the shit. These a big dog, you a poodle, I'm a pit. I'm Tracy Hoes all just as far as I can spit. Just fucking up the mall, if you like it, then you get. You standing mighty tall, if you broken, we'll fix. I feel like a rocket, don't go out of space. Got pretty vibes with me, I make sure all on straight. I dress a bitch, I put it in some pride and bake. You want it international in all 50 states. Listen, I'm a boost, a nigga war. Ready? Chop a nigga crew with a mud. Shed it. Smoke gasoline, 93, unleaded. Car never did, I can spin without a limit. 3 rose watches in the yard, I get it. I got 10 bad bitches, I keep all of them happy. You dinner for my bitch, buy her all gold patty. She can save a good dick, get a Benz formatted. It's a rich nigga, come and feel my fabric. I got hundreds in my pants and my jacket. Chanel all in the ceiling, think we fucking in the palace. When you really get the millions, it gon' up a nigga status. Up a nigga status. Cool in a bitch, better think twice, my shooter in the VIP. 10th grade, bought a frame.
It's your birthday, put some ice on your wrist. I reached every goal, had it right on the list. I'm stroking on toe, watch it biting on the lip. I fly across the globe and I call another hit. They watching cause they know how slimy it can get. I'm riding to the top, I'm bottom of the ditch. Your favorite rapper burn and he running out of hits. Say the wrong word, I'ma shoot him in the shit. These some big dogs, you a poodle, I'm a pit. I'm trusty hold it all just as far as I can spit. We fucking up the mall, if you like it, then you get. We standing mighty tall, if you broken, we'll fix.
Pull up to the Maybach in the driveway. Trap house had bitches counting hundreds in the room. How you claiming you a street nigga having loose lips? Got a lot of new shit. Eliante chain like the bottom of a ship. Got my niggas in the feds getting lows when they get out. Kiva had to bring the bin, take her with the kid out. Got 5 bitches running off the dope at the penthouse. She ain't trying to give me no neck, she had to get out. Some of young shooters go wag. Some shit, big brother taught me how to sit back. The fizz, when I pull up move saying she get cracking on the dick. Little shorty give me brain, I almost crashed. The whip get her, send around with your shoe size. For the, I done came about 2 times, yeah. I got top on top the rooftop, yeah. Big color and suicide, yeah.
Cool in the bitch. Better think twice, might shoot in the VIP. 10th grade, bought a frame, peel off a licks. Percocet feel like I'm cruising on the ship. It's your birthday, put some ice on your wrist. I reached every goal, had it right on the list. Struggling on toe, watch it biting on the lip. I fly across the globe and I call another hit.
I got the swim, part of them. Shorty having drip, proud of them. Put it on the jet, out of here. 2024, out here. Call paramedics, I'm killing them. Stepping on their necks, I'm milling him. Louis leather vest, nigga trim. Running up a check, stacking them. Yeah, hold on. I caught the top, Balenciaga. Put it in their face, bend it on them. Fly to Abu Dhabi, spin a hundred. Shit like a party, I ain't going on. Protected by sticks, I feel better. I see these buck got a vendetta. Etiquette for bitch, I'm getting at her. You ain't seen one, could've pinned better. I'm smoking on the sky, Coretta. Pop Percocet, help it feel better. I set the trend, I'm a trendsetter. I'm not arrested, getting cheddar. Out of my wrist, timeless. Certified factory diamonds. 3 young nigga going diamond. Prince, they call me Your Highness. Flip a nigga, bitch, she tag team shit. I'm passing her home, Mary Ryan. Cook up a hit like a whipping a brick out, whipping that shit like a cayenne. I got the swag, part of them. Shorty having drip, proud of them. Put it on the jet, out of here. 2024, out here. Call paramedics, I'm killing them. Stepping on their necks, I'm milling him. Louis leather vest, nigga trim. Running up a check, stacking them.
Turning up your bit, Cinderella. 2024, Margiela. Money in the wall, car telling. Mansion in the hills, mall in it. Cold in the St. Laurent chinchilla. Me and when I walk, I can spin bigger. Looking in the eyes, see the sin in them. Fuck it, baby, gon' bring your friend with her. Young rich bastard, I got 10 figures. Running nigga pockets, I ain't friends with them. 10 years in and I'm still winning. Pillow talk to bitches cause you been tender. Put her in the dot, then sky yammy. Look at the clock, gold like a Grammy. About the lot, no they can't stand me. Kids at the house, hunting to a nanny. Stood on my 10, ain't nobody behind. I don't see the cap, I go Ray Charles blind. I went Ferrari and 2 got the spine. M on M, millions on mine.
I got the swag, part of them. Shorty having drip, proud of them. Put it on the jet, out of here. 2024, out here. Call paramedics, killing them. Stepping on their necks, milling him. Louis leather vest, nigga trim. Running up a check, stacking them.
Ice on my neck, dollars big hits. Hop off a jet, barely get rest. Cash through the mud and I get a check. You selling run on my pants and my chest. Chanel a dress, clean up a mess. I eat her flesh, you know the rest. Count up 100, couple Rolex. Shine like the sun, you truly blessed. Lose 12%, in the clip boy like I hoop with these jets. Yes, it's on me, got my Gucci shirt wet. Put an M in my bag, gon' get used to these rats. I went to school where they teach you finesse. 500 shoes for the drip, I invest. I'm the boss man, I keep cashing the debts. Know the cool fast when they end with an S.
Now that I'm home, back off the road, we shut it down, where they sold. Checks on the streets, J number 4, Saint Laurent feet, put it on toes, take it with me, double your dose, covered with angels that's watching my soul. Jack out of bed, it's bigger windows, said I beat the intent, but I got the info. I feel like I'm chosen, I'm covered in gold. I left it wide open, it was off intro. Took nothing but fine, man. She hopped it and drove.
trace. Rest on me, fresh out the chase. You got it off the display. I got it from the runway. I got it. Fuck it, I go out the blank. Don't do this shit for the fame. Stacking these Benjamin Franks. You rich, they don't give you no rank. You thinking it's that, but it ain't. They put on my back in that A. Pulling up all kind of ways. I got this hoe on the scroll. Bitches like Marilyn Monroe. Can't beat me, I'm standing 10 toes. Get my dogs back in the row. AP off factory go. Hop and get back in that mode. Baby got a drip like Ghana. I see how you mixing designer. My car is $500,000. I came a long way from Impalas. I still got some snakes and iguanas. I'm in the chase on the way to the commas. I hold a bank in the way I can fumble. A long way, but I'm getting out this tunnel. And I'm right back in that A. Smooth, I ain't leaving no trace. Rest on me. Rest on me, fresh out the chase. You got it off the display. I got it from the runway. I got it. Fuck it, I go out the blank. Don't do this shit for the fame. Stacking these Benjamin Franks. You rich, they don't give you no rank. You thinking it's that, but it ain't. They put on my back in that A. Pulling up all kind of ways. Land at the port, I'm back. 85 south to the flat. Titty bit. Titty made back down the neck. I put the drip on the map. Platinum on all of the plats. When I got me, that's status. Sunday honest and money, magic.